So whenever I talk about expensive high-end e-bikes like the Suron, I almost always get comments like this, saying why would I spend $4,000 or $5,000 on this bike when instead I could buy a used car? So I want to use this opportunity to see whether or not this holds any water. We're going to see exactly what car you can buy for 5,000 bucks and in the long run how it stacks up against a high-end e-bike. But before diving deep into this, I should give the disclaimer that a bike and a car are two separate things. A car can go highway speed, it's more comfortable, and people think that you need it in the wintertime or when it's raining. But if you think like that, I encourage you to check out this video from Not Just Bikes on the topic. It's an excellent video. Okay, so representing the bike side, we have the Suron X. This is very popular, and we know that these are reliable, high-quality machines, and with shipping and taxes, it's around $5,000. Now, when it comes to used cars, there's a ton of variability here. If we just browse a couple of these websites, right now we're on cars.com, the general trend here is a sedan from the mid to early 2000s with well over 100,000 miles. And this brings us to the first divergence here. So there's a huge difference between buying a random used car versus a brand new bike from a reputable company. So when you buy a brand new Suron, you know exactly what you're getting. But if we come over to TrueCar and click onto one of these offerings, this car is relatively new. It's a 2010 Ford Escape, 5,000 bucks with 166,000 miles on it. And taking a look at the photos here of the vehicle, it seems okay considering its age and mileage, but you never know for sure what exactly you're buying. In fact, here in the seller notes, it says that this is a Ford Escape, 166,000 miles. It's being sold as is, no warranty, and may need work to pass PA safety inspection. So when buying a used car, especially in this very cheap category, you have to assume that it's not going to work perfectly fine. There's going to be mechanical issues, rust, and that brings us to the average annual maintenance cost. Because when you buy a vehicle, the expenses are just beginning at that point. And I found this chart on the maintenance cost by mileage. So on the left-hand column, we can see the mileage of the vehicle, and on the right-hand side, the maintenance cost for every 25,000 miles. And the clear trend here is that the older and the higher mileage the vehicle, the greater the annual maintenance cost. So if we come back to the marketplace here, the average mileage at this price point is at a minimum around 150,000. So on this chart, that'll put us right here at $4,800 of maintenance for every 25,000 miles driven. And the average person drives 12,000-ish miles per year, so we can divide this number in half for an annual maintenance cost. Now, another major expense of driving is the cost of fuel. So on average, these vehicles get let's say 23 mpg. So as we saw before, the average person drives about 12,000 miles per year. So 12,000 divided by 23, that's 521 gallons of fuel per year times a price of 3.5 per gallon is an annual cost of about $1,800. Next, you have insurance. So here are some data on the average cost of car insurance in 2022. And the numbers fluctuate a lot based off of the state you live in, the brand you go with, and the type of coverage you get. So again, if we go with a conservative number, it's about $1,200 per year or $100 per month. So that's all the major expenses, but you still have some other stuff like license, registration, taxes, depreciation if you finance the car. But just with these three categories, that gives us an annual cost of ownership of $5,100. And that's more than the $5,000 cost of the vehicle. But now comparing that to an electric bike, the comparison is extremely lopsided. So when it comes to any electric vehicle, the cost of maintenance is going to be an order of magnitude less simply because the drivetrain is so simple in comparison. So honestly, the only maintenance you have with the Suron is going to be changing the tires. If we come over to Amazon, the Shinko 241 is only $60, $70. So that's really not that much of an annual expense, even if you buy a new one every single year. But just to keep this as fair as possible, let's extremely overestimate the expenses for a bike like the Suron. So I'm going to say $400 a year on small stuff. So that's the chain, the brake pads. And I'm also going to set aside $1,000 per year for bigger upgrades. So the battery, for example, is only $1,600, and this allowance would give us the ability to buy a brand new battery every other year. And with an e-bike, you don't have insurance cost, and the fuel is negligible, about $2 per month. So to bring this back to the commenter, of course, you might value a used car a lot more than a brand new high-end bike, depending on your needs, your use cases, all that kind of stuff. But simply in terms of value, like this guy is suggesting, a $5,000 used car is not the same thing as a $5,000 brand new high-end e-bike. The true cost looks something more like this, with the car being much more expensive over time. In fact, because the annual maintenance cost of a $5,000 used vehicle is more than $5,000, it's essentially the same thing as completely throwing away the car and every single year buying a new $5,000 used car. So you're really not saving money, and in comparison to that, a small electric bike, even if the sticker price is the same, it's significantly better in terms of value. But that's just my take on the situation. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're still watching and enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.